Hello, and welcome to the Surplus Geek Podcast. I'm Jake, and today I'm joined by Bailey from Bailey's Military Collection.
Thank you for having me on, Jake.
So before we get into the episode and what we're going to talk about today, I want to just do a little background on Bailey to give, an idea of who he is, why he's collecting, and so forth.
So, I went to college for history at the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. I graduated with a bachelor's in history. And during my junior year and senior year as well, I did an internship at the Battleship Cove Museum of Fall River, where I was a curator. So that basically gives me a good background of military history itself, because with me being at the Battleship Cove for a year, it kind of, spruced up my my intelligence, I would suppose, and just me getting interested in the military history aspect along with collecting, which is a big bonus in my part.
Yeah, and for anyone that isn't in the Massachusetts area, Battleship Cove's pretty cool. It has USS Massachusetts, which is I forget what the class of ship it is.
I believe the Class B, I'm pretty sure.
But it's a battleship. It's got a destroyer from East Germany. It's got a submarine, World War II class, era submarine. Some other stuff. It's a pretty good museum. If you're in the area, check it out.
Sorry, it's actually USS Massachusetts BP-59, also known as a South Dakota class.
There you go.
But we also have, for the other ships he mentioned, we do have the, I believe the Kennedy destroyer, which is also the A-50, the Lionfish submarine, and we also have an East German corvette, which is also named the Hidden Sea.
Yep, that's the East German one I was thinking of. So, after interning or doing your thing at Battleship Cove, what's the plans for the future here?
Well, I thought about getting into teaching, because I like to teach others and actually inspire others to actually learn about history, because sometimes with the current generation now, we tend to forget certain things that we should not be forgetting, such as mostly like World War I. That's a big example, because people don't talk about World War I. It's a very vague topic from my understanding, because during my senior year of college, we really didn't cover World War I or World War II that much, or even Vietnam. Korea is a big issue in my part.
Yep, that's why it's called the Forgotten War.
It really is. Nobody really talks about the Korean War, because it's a conflict for 3 years. 3 years, mind you. And that's a long duration for a war itself. And it pretty much shaped the current event of our topics today, especially with the encroachment of communism during that time after the 40s, and like the whole Red Scare with McCarthyism and whatnot. Especially the Vietnam War plays a big part into that as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that definitely, and not only that, plays into the political climate today with how we fight wars and stuff.
This is true.
And most of the stuff that we learned, a lot of what we learned from Vietnam and Korea is applied directly to the modern day. I know from a lot of my CLS courses while I was in, they reference a lot of data coming from Vietnam. So with that, you want to teach and stuff. It's cool, obviously. That's the whole point of Surplus Geek, is trying to get information out to people. And with that, going from that, obviously you're not a teacher. You want to do something else.
So right now, I don't think teaching would be a good aspect for me right now due to COVID. I'd always thought about becoming a curator, like I did at Battleship Cove. But then again, COVID is kind of like hurting that idea for me, since I tried applying to certain places such as Springfield Armory. However, I would love to go into the National Park Service, which is currently what I'm trying to get into right now, in which I do have a job lined up for the summer. So I'm thankful for that, really.
Yeah, that's going to be a good job. That's going to be a fun experience. And with that, I think that's a pretty good run over of who Bailey is and whatnot. So we'll try to get into the collecting, as I know people were probably like, to start talking about things. I will say that we are collectors. We are not reenactors by any stretch of the imagination. We do strive to get history correct, but as most people know, history is very kind of lucid, I would say. It's kind of, changes with people's perspectives and things, and new data is found every day, so things change as we go. But with collecting, I will say that, I said this in the episode 0, kind of teaser episode, that collecting should be a personal thing for you, and you shouldn't let anyone determine what is collecting for you. So you know, I said this in the previous thing that like you don't need to have everything, but if collecting is to have everything, go for it. I personally have turned into more collecting for purposes of displaying and doing videos on. I'm not collecting per se. I mean, I have certain items that are holy grails, which I will not say for obvious reasons, but I'm assuming you do too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I spent a lot of good money on the, like you said, the holy grails in my collection. I could probably list a few, but then
Well, if
again,
you have them, it's fine. Just don't say anything that you want, because then, unobtainium.
yeah, that's true. Well, I guess I could say the XM50 I have from 2001.
Yeah, that's a good piece.
That's a really good piece.
Yeah, one of my holy grails that I actually own would probably be my XM50 from 2004. But other pieces I would say that the Serbian M3 are definitely a top for me. That's a fun mask to own. Really weird, interesting design. Another topic for another day for sure. Moving on from that though, I would say that with the reenactor versus collector, I don't want there to be any bad blood between reenactors and collectors. I'm just putting that out there just so people know. And just so people, because we do post kits and stuff, and, they're not always going to be perfect. We try, though, and, it is what it is. But I think when it comes to collecting, we all have our unique experiences with it. And I think most people start collecting when they're young. Sometimes even pre-high school. And, I think it's great. I think that there's a new generation of collectors out there that are growing up, and, they're going to need some guidance to kind of show them where things are and stuff. And we're definitely going to talk about that in another episode about preserving history and whatnot.
And with the new generation kids, it's actually wonderful because they can learn from us, which kind of is, makes us as like a teacher of some sort, or even a scholar in a way, I actually love that idea of actually teaching somebody, which is why I'm becoming a teacher in the first place. But then again, like the whole COVID idea is making me skeptical about the whole idea of actually going to teaching, and plus dealing with the generation of people not really caring about history, because what am I going to do with history? What am I going to do with it? Like, what can I do with it?
Feel the same way about math.
I can say that's why I'm into history. I don't like math.
Yeah,
Got
true.
me pre-calc. Anyways, but people bring up that topic and idea of like, what am I doing with history? There's so many things you can do with history, such as become a lawyer, a civil rights lawyer. In fact, that's a lot of history.
Yeah,
based right there.
You got to to be a lawyer, you got to know a lot of case study and stuff.
Basically, yeah, like a lot of historical cases.
Yeah, you got to know your stuff.
You can be archaeologist.
Yeah,
you can be you can do a lot of stuff in history, but some of the jobs out there don't pay them well at the beginning. Like you gotta like grind. You gotta do seasonal jobs. You can't just go right into the field. If you have the experience and knowledge of this certain area you want to do, and then go right ahead. But some jobs you just have to grind for it, and that's the process it takes. You just have to go for it if you really want to do something like that.
And you might become a podcaster, YouTuber. That's another option. I mean,
Which is what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Think about all the people who are out there who aren't. I mean, you've got a degree in history, but I'm no college for me. Who are anyone with the determination and the willpower can go out there and learn and find and discover new things historically, and they can do. As long as you present the information well and professionally enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, this is not a professional setup as we sit in my office. But I think about a lot of YouTubers that I follow that put a ton of work into it. You think about all of the historical YouTubers who unfortunately are having issues with YouTube, but they put out such great content. And a lot of them aren't, some of them are probably historians. Some of them have the correct background. But a lot of them are not, they're just people who have a unique fondness for a specific topic. And for us, it's military surplus. But, and like specifically for me, it's the 20th century military surplus. But, you got people that are into 18th, 19th, you got even before that, you got Roman. it just goes on forever. You got to find your niche area of collecting if that's what you're into. And not everyone wants to collect. Some people just want to see other people collect. They're just interested in the history. That's a piece to it too. And I often think that a lot of collectors try to use their collection as bragging rights or as
Clout chasers is what I call them sometimes.
Yeah, clout chasers, exactly. And that's fine to a point, but I think the community needs to mature. And this is hard to say because my experience and Bailey's experience is more gas mask collecting community. I'm not really in tune with the rest of the Milicerp community, but the gas mask collecting community could definitely do some maturing. And that's not to say that everyone in the community is a kid. It has nothing to do with being a kid. There's definitely kids in the community that are more mature than the adults. But you don't have to call it chase all the time. It's fine. You have something that's cool. It's fine to show it off and be like, yeah, I got this cool piece. It's rare or uncommon. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I'm guilty with that.
Oh, I am too, 100%. I mean, that's, part of my Instagram is that. But it's also to show off this cool, unique piece. An XM50, it's a cool, unique piece. The M3, what else do I have on there that's cool and unique?
You got the Serbian M3, you got the TAP, the boots,
yeah, the tap
gloves.
Gear. Yeah, that's true, yeah.
You have a bunch of hoods, the TAP hoods, and everything else.
More tap gear is on its way.
Trust them.
Yeah, I got a whole bin full of the stuff. I just haven't gotten around to doing full body shots. And as I discussed in this is episode 0, full body shots are hard to do when you have limited space. I only have an office to do this all in. But so, and that's the thing too, is you could collect very specific items. There's people out there who collect one type of mask or just chemical protective suits or helmets. Helmet collection is huge. There's a lot of big helmet collectors out there. And, there's people out there that have 80, 90, 100 helmets. They have helmets from all over the world. I mean, I have a minuscule collection of helmets. I probably have 10 to 15 varying types from around the world. But helmet collections are huge. So, I mean, it's endless what you can collect. I mean, obviously, from my Instagram, you can tell people think probably that I mainly collect gas masks. Yeah, I collect everything. I got everything. So, eventually, you'll see more of that. But same thing with Bailey. He collects a lot of gas masks, but he also has
web gear and equipment.
Gear. Yeah,
I started first with masks when like I said, in freshman year of college. I bought a few masks at a gun show. That's what kind of spiked my interest, and after that, I started buying like very minimal accessories they put on your mask and stuff like that, such as outserts or even like winterization gear. Then, as the years progressed, I started to get more masks, helmets. I even bought body armor from I believe East Germany or the Bundeswehr, Flecktarn body armor or flak vest, whatever it is. Then I started to get more serious with the mask. I started to buy more First World War mask, such as the American type corrected English model, the Richardson Floricops, which is a second variation of that. Then I started to get the British ones. I even got a German one, which I was surprised for how dirt cheap I got that. Then it just kept building up. Then one day I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do something else. So I started doing Vietnam web gear pretty much, and that would, it's a good area for me right now. I actually like it.
That was thanks to me. I got you started on the web gear.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
But so I bought this.
There's a money sink.
It basically is for me right now. It's really tough.
It's tough, yeah.
Yeah, you buy pieces that are wicked cheap, then like you need this one piece to complete your kit, and it just makes a dent in your wallet. It just it hurts. It hurts to look at now and then.
Yeah, the chasing for finishing something, it can be difficult. You want to have a complete this is a whole episode on itself, is kit collecting and doing 100% and stuff and what that means. But yeah, chasing after this stuff, collecting is an expensive hobby if you allow it to be. He knows as he sits in a room
surrounded by vests, suits, mask, and everything.
Yeah, totes and totes and totes of gear. It's getting to that addiction standpoint. But I'm waiting for my family to do like a, sit me down. Like, all right, we have to have a conversation about
have
this.
An intervention with this stuff.
Yeah.
My parents have that too many times with me. I kind of ignore it.
Insert intervention of milsurp, but it's. I mean, what are they going to do? I'm an adult now, but I've been an adult for way too long.
I just started becoming an adult.
Yeah, he's a freshborn adult. He's a newbie. He's
Still
getting
learning.
there. Yeah.
Still learning.
That might be an episode itself, is talking about being an adult and collecting.
How much it sucks.
Yeah, and how much you can get away. But honestly, though, when you get to be an adult, I will say that once I started working a real full-time job, and I had my own place, and I was doing my own thing. I was outside the house. I was away from my parents. That's when I started to really collect. That's when, in 2018, I got intense with the collecting. That's when I realized that I wanted to do a Vietnam kit. I wanted to do all this stuff. I wanted to have everything from 1900 on, which I'm slowly working my way back towards. So
I can add on to that because like I said, when I was in college, I was by myself, having all that independent freedom away from my parents, and like being able to do whatever I want to a certain degree. That came with the cost of collecting, because I would, have shipped stuff to my dorm, and my parents would be like, "Hey, did you buy anything?"
I know your parents help move you in, then
Yeah.
they're moving you back out. It's like, there seems to be a lot more here.
Yeah, why is he bringing home 2 bags full of green covered gear or whatever? Like, what is that? It's like,
What is this stuff?
Yeah. So I try to keep it on the down low. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, I shouldn't be lying to you, but I know you're listening, so.
Is your parents going to listen to this?
They will.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. I'll have a big talk about this when I get home, probably.
Don't worry. You'll move out eventually. Anyways, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and this goes out to all the kids out there. I don't mean kids in a derogatory sense. I mean, all the younger members who collect. Don't worry. If you stay into collecting into your old age, you will be good, or you will be able to expand it a lot further and a lot more once you have money. Obviously, your interest might change and stuff, so keep that in mind. But
just like mine, like I said, from masks to like wipe gear now.
Yeah,
I still collect masks, it's just not as much as I used to.
Well, it gets I don't want to say it gets boring, but
it gets very tiring now and then. We got to deal with the people.
Yeah, you want to. Well, yeah, and you're trying to find, and eventually you get to a point where you have 50, 60, 70 masks, and it's like all that's left is like the holy grail items,
pretty much,
or the stuff that just doesn't come up often, or the stuff that comes up and sells for $1,300. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but that's a mortgage payment right there. I'm not paying for I will pay for some things if it's really worth it, but man, I have to take, responsibility takes precedence. So I would say that, like, you have to, you figure it out as you go and stuff. But, and again, especially for me, I'm trying to do something with my stuff. I'm not just collecting. It's kind of become a weird hobby mixed with a goal, and changes the perspective of things. I guess the point of this episode is just to talk about collecting as a whole, and just, I don't know, to give a baser idea of like where you go with your collection and how you determine where you're going to go with your collection and stuff. I guess you kind of have to have a goal, but it's going to change. You got to be flexible with your goal and what you want. I never thought I was going to have all that. My younger self would be so excited to be in this room right now. If I took myself from high school even and was like, here, look what you will have, he'd be like, oh my God, how do you have all this?
How much did you spend?
Yeah, it would, because I bought my first mask there, the M40, at $100 on eBay. That was a huge deal back, when I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school. And, it had to be sophomore year that I got that. And, that was a huge deal, $100. I couldn't work a job yet. I wasn't at that point. And, I got a pretty decent kit, and I still have the mask. I still keep it. There's a reason why the Surplus Geek logo is an M40, sort of. It's symbolic, I guess, in a way, to collecting for me. And now I have way too many M40s, way too many
M17s,
too
many sealed masks.
Way too many sealed masks.
I'm getting there at this rate. I don't know.
Yeah, we got the local can man over here.
This is me. That's me.
So, and we'll talk about cans. That's a whole conversation for another day.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a very controversial topic.
Yeah.
Depending on me, it depends how it gets. Yeah, it might be a little bad.
Yeah, some people, will probably disagree, but it is what it is. And that brings up a good point about collecting. You're going to disagree with people. It's going to happen.
Very, like, a lot.
The best thing you can do is don't take it personal.
Yep.
And just understand that people have different opinions, as long as the person isn't going out and maliciously doing something to a piece. And that's a different story. If someone does something maliciously, that you can't avoid it. It's like someone having a lot of money and buying a painting, a very expensive painting, and then destroying it. That is terrible.
This actually just happened just recently. I think some woman or somebody else just bought a antique globe stand. It's like from the 18 or 1700s. I forget what generation it was or era, but they like made their own, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, it was like unbelievable, like how they just damaged an antique piece and people were just giving her crap about it. It's just like, you just ruin a 200, 300-year-old like antique just for your own purpose. Like, it's pretty much the same thing in collecting. Like, I have for example, I have a almost 100-year-old still sealed mask from 1928, 29, and I am never going to open that thing. Trust me. Jeez, like, why would you? It's almost 100 years old, and if I do, you're just going to ruin it. You're just going to ruin the valuable, it's value. It's
they're value worth it. Yeah, and not only that, there's unsealed examples out there.
This is true. Especially just go on Google and just type up the mask and you just find a bunch of them like within images.
Yeah, exactly. So
even forums.
Again, we'll save that conversation for the day because we can go off on a rant on that one. But so I mean that if as long as you're not being malicious and your intent with what you're doing, I'm fine with most things. And obviously, it doesn't matter what I say. But the reason we're saying this is that you're going to run into people who are going to do things maliciously. It
doesn't have to be malicious, by the way. It's just like done out of curiosity or just a lack of sense of knowledge. Like, they don't know what they got their hands on. They don't know what to do with this. So they do something that seems malicious, even though it really isn't, because they don't have the knowledge like we do now and then.
Yeah, it's what you learn as you go.
Like, for example, there was this kid that his uncle bought him a World War I or interwar from World War I, World War II mask, and he said something about the filter having harmful contents, which they do have it.
I mean, at this point, like, whatever was put into that filter probably is not good to ingest.
Oh God, no! Especially back from that day.
Even if it's not asbestos, which is the common thing that people freak out about. Like, there's a point to where whatever they treated it with, the filter, if it broke down, if it gets into you, you don't want that stuff inside of you.
Yeah. So, anyways, like he literally cut the filter off. And he didn't do it out of malicious intent. He just did it out of safety precaution or just didn't know what to do with it. So I think he chucked it in the trash or something like that. And people were like giving him so much crap about it. And the kid's young. He's going to learn. But then again, it's like people like him do not know what they have.
Which is why we're going to be making these. Yeah.
Which is, like the reason why we have this podcast in the first place. And like, it pretty much is an issue in the community itself. Like, again, people not knowing what they have, they do something that destroys a mask, and you have people like us or others saying like, "Oh, you're ruining a piece of history. Like, you're an idiot." It's like the kid's trying to learn. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I always bring up is, you got to think back to what you acted like when you were a kid. I mean, I was definitely dumb and stupid and didn't know things, and I mean, I don't remember destroying anything, but it's something that, you definitely have to, you're dealing with people that just don't know, and it's not their fault if they don't know, because honestly, your source of information is YouTube, or forums. Maybe if you went to a museum, where do you go for this information? And that's a whole nother thing. And people's responses a lot of times overly, I get it. It's out of passion, and that's fine. But I think you got to realize like you just said, you got to realize that these are kids. They're trying to learn. You got to take a step back and try to rationalize and put forth your words in a way that does not, because if you yell at someone, all you're really doing is you're telling them they're not going to listen to what you're saying, because all they hear is the yelling, especially if they're kids. Kids do not like to be yelled at. Nope. They rebel against authority. If they see you as some sort of authority, they're going to go the opposite direction. And you see that all the time. I mean, the internet is the internet for a reason. And that's just something that is a reality to how things are, and it's fine. But you just got to watch yourself and how you conduct yourself on that topic. If you're a serious collector and you want to be a serious collector and you want people to learn things, you got to watch how you conduct yourself. I mean, you don't have to, but preferably, I'd say you should, because you can prevent things like that from happening.
Definitely. And we try to teach all these kids, you know, what a collection really is, and like we try to give them respect, and they try to give us respect. You know, it goes both ways.
Yeah, and they need space. They need, because kids like to emulate. They like to follow other people and go off what they do. And they like to, copy almost. And, they think they see, they do, and they're like sponges. They just,
They absorb the information.
Yeah. That's a movie reference.
That probably flew by my head.
Yeah, I gotta lower that. Anyways. So, it's something that, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it's just.
That's the point of a podcast, is go wherever you want.
Yeah.
Try to stay on topic.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I guess, the moral of the story is collect what you want, collect how you want, as long as you're not destroying things on purpose. And again, that's a whole nother topic for another day, because there is a lot of examples of that.
Too many examples to list in one podcast, let's just say.
Yeah, probably.
A lot.
Yeah. And I think that's fine. Anyways, that's not fine, but it's fine if we can't list them all.
Yeah. He's not saying it's fine to destroy things.
Yeah, no, that's going to get cut out into context. So with collecting, I guess the ultimate question would be, is there a piece or a holy grail or a set of pieces that would end your collecting days, that would put the collection to rest?
Actually, it's a really good question, but for me,
it's an easy question for me. It's no. I'm never gonna stop collecting.
Well, if you think about it in some aspect, there's some people that want to get that one piece and just end their collecting because they're so content with that one piece they've always wanted for so many years and they worked hard for it. But for me, I would probably say no either, because there's just so much to collect out there. Like it's ridiculous. Like, what is there to collect? And like, you just can't collect, just like helmets and just be like, okay, I'm done collecting helmets. Yeah, but do you want to go into a different subject? Like what me and Jake have done. Like, I saw Earth Mask, he probably saw Earth Mask, and he's doing vest, web gear, uniforms, or whatnot. Especially me, I'm starting to do, vest. Especially now, I'm starting to get a lot more. I actually have 3 Vietnam era vests, I'm pretty sure. I have a 52A. I have a 3/4 collar protective and something else, I think. But anyways, yeah, there is really, for me, it's just a no, because it's just so much you can collect and like learn from. But honestly, if I really had the choice of like what would be my holy grail, that's a tough question, because there's so many good stuff that I really want, such as a.
Do you want to say the holy grail though? Do you want people to know your holy grail?
No, that's actually no.
Yeah,
because
I mean, for me, holy grails are there's holy grails that like I don't have to worry about saying, like, I want to own either a mutt or a Jeep, or a truck. I want to own, like, for me, military surplus goes beyond just these small items. Like, I would kill, not literally, but I would definitely want to own military hardware.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like trucks, tanks, all that stuff. Luckily, I don't have to own that. I can just go to the American Heritage Museum,
which I also volunteer at, by the way, if you didn't know.
Yeah,
it's a fun volunteer.
That's a good episode for later, talking about volunteering.
Yeah,
you got quite the experience in that.
You also meet a lot of good people too. You actually get to listen to their stories and whatnot when they served, if they did serve.
Oh yeah, especially at the American Heritage Museum.
Especially, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of good guys that work there. But yeah, so I would say that, like, no, for me, it's easy. I can't even imagine what the end of my collection would be. I guess if I had literally everything, then you can't collect anything.
There's no way you can have everything.
But there's no way to have everything, so it continues. And I know my girlfriend is probably going to listen to this and go, oh, it's never going to end.
Same with mine. Especially my parents be like, oh, geez, here we go.
Sorry. But it's never going to end. And
it's
just, it's the fun of it. And I guess moving on from that, pivoting your collection, Is there anything else you'd want to pivot it to? We've talked about masks, body armor, web gear, chemical protective gear. I got rucksacks, all that stuff. Is there anything that you'd consider pivoting to? I mean,
Yeah, so with me, I probably would pivot towards collecting military surplus rifles, such as the rifles itself and the bayonets. I think my dream goal of mine is to actually obtain all the service rifles from the United States, such as the Springfield Trapdoor, the Krag Jorgensen rifles, the 1903s, and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. But right now, I do have a few surplus rifles, such as a Kar 98K, Lee Enfields, a Russian SKS, and a Russian Mosin Nagant. But to me, weapons are really cool, but they can be so pricey, like especially with the older antique, muskets and the Springfield Trapdoors, and even the Krag Jorgensens, because then again, they don't even make the Krag Jorgensen ammo anymore. So now it's just like you got to find either a gun manufacturer or ammo manufacturer to actually obtain that ammo, and that ammo itself, especially now, is very pricey.
yeah, the ammo market's all messed up right now. But yeah, I totally understand where you're going with that too, because like 1917 for me would be a definite to own. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Milsurp is definitely, even the older stuff is definitely cool. We both want to get into, me and my girlfriend, we want to get into black powder, revolvers, and the mid to late 1800s. That would be something that we definitely want to get into at some point. It's a little bit difficult in the residence of state that we live in, but that's okay. We can figure it out. So anyways, with this being the first episode, we're not going to go much further than that. There's not much more to talk about. This is really kind of just a basic setup here for us. But I will say one thing, when it comes to buying things that you really want, sometimes you just have to let them go. Because, you can't get everything. If you don't get something, it's going to happen. Something else will come up. And yes, I did bring this up because Bailey wants to buy something. I bring it up more because it's an important lesson for people, or not lesson, but idea to grasp conceptually. That you don't need to get everything. You're not going to get everything. Unless it's something that's rare, which we'll talk about some future episode, but like, you'll find another piece.
This is why being an adult sucks.
Yes, responsibilities come up.
This is true.
With that being said, I think we're just going to cut it there, even though we're not quite close to what I want to for the length. That's fine. I want it just to be a thing. I'll let Bailey do his sign off. Oh, make sure you go check out Bailey on Bailey's Militaria collection on Instagram. Do it. Follow him. You won't
Please
regret
follow
it.
me.
Yes. He needs to follow us. Also follow me on Surplus Geek if you're not somehow already following me while you're listening to this podcast. Bailey, thanks for coming on for the first episode. I know you're going to be on for a bunch of episodes that are definitely not going to be recorded all on the same day. A little behind the scenes fourth wall break there. I will sign off myself, and I hope everyone enjoys this first episode, and I hope we come back for the second one. So, have a good day.